Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook and on the New Mexico Sports Network. Along with producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez, along with Los Lunas head coach Greg Hennington. He's got his Tigers at 6-0, big win against Roswell Goddard on Friday night. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me.
I'll tell you what, Coach, you and I talked a little bit, and one of the reasons I wanted to get you on is we couldn't connect for your two-a-days, and I wanted to make sure we gave some shine to the Tigers. It's a heck of a football program out there. They're crazy about their football in Los Lunas, man. It's a great athletic program. Marty Zeller's moved on from basketball, right? He won a couple of championships there. Travis Julian, who used to officiate some of his games when he was the coach at Manzano and Los Lunas, has had some success. Wilson Holland is a great athletic director. They love their sports in Los Lunas, Coach, for sure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the support has been amazing. I haven't seen support like this, yet. I don't think, as far as personal support, they've been outstanding. Administration's been great. They've done everything they can to help us. And like you said, Wilson's is an awesome AD, and they're serious about winning, and they're serious about winning the right way. So I couldn't feel more blessed to be here.
Coach, it's funny because, you were telling me you used to play for the great Las Cruces Mayfield head coach, Jim Bradley, who coached at New Mexico State. And we were laughing about it. That Coach Bradley would tweak it, he'd say some stuff in the paper. We're going to show the North how it's done down here in the South. I loved it though, man. I did. There used to be that rivalry with the Lobos and Aggies, right? And Coach Danny Gonzalez from UNM football recently said, "I don't like those guys." I don't think he meant it in a bad way. Just kind of, trying to light that match, get those rivalries going. And Coach Bradley was like that.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he's definitely a character. Always had something good to say, but yeah, the rivalries run deep with him. Even like you said, when he coached at New Mexico State, my father actually coached with him at New Mexico State for a year or two. And it always ran deep with him. And he made that very clear every single day at practice, or when we played a team from Albuquerque. He made it very clear what he felt about that rivalry.
I have to laugh because I can only imagine, man. Rivalries used to be real. And Coach, I got to ask you this because you're the head coach at Belen for a while, right? You're the head coach at Belen from 2016 to 2018. And you've got a rivalry with Los Lunas, for sure. I covered some of those games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it was always a good one. Coach Maupin was here, and had a lot of respect for Coach Maupin. So it was never a hate thing. It was more of a respect that we're both going to play hard and get after it. But definitely it was a thick rivalry. And, it's kind of ironic to be continuing that rivalry from the other side of it. But I'm excited about it.
Talk a little bit about that, though, because sometimes you wouldn't say it was akin from moving from the Hatfields to the McCoys, not that kind of rivalry then, right? But, because I covered a couple of those games at Los Lunas and at Belen, full stands, right? Full stands for both games. You just, 10 miles down the way. You want to beat each other for sure. And it's the same thing in basketball, in golf, in tennis, and whatever they play in, you circle that game, right? Now, I'm not trying to make more out of it than it is, Coach, but I have to ask you that because it was an intense and is an intense rivalry.
Oh, for sure. And we're looking forward to it in a few weeks. It's a little bit down the road, but one thing I'll say is, when I took this job, or was blessed to get this job, most people from Belen were very supportive. And even though that rivalry is strong, I think they do care about the overall success of Valencia County. So I thought that was pretty awesome to hear. So, but definitely it's going to be there. But I think, again, it's more of a respect thing, which makes it interesting, right? Makes it fun.
You know what? There's no doubt about it. I remember when Belen had Diego Casillas, a workhorse back, man. That guy get 35 carries for 155 and workhorse and did not get tired. Did not get tired. I believe you coached him, right?
Yes. Yeah. I coached him this whole sophomore through senior year. And he did. I mean, he was a two-way player. We took a lot of pride in conditioning, though, those years. We had to, with the numbers that we had to play two ways. But he started at linebacker and started at running back and was, I think, like 26th or 27th in the nation for overall rushing, something like 2,700 yards. But he was a workhorse, tough as could be. So it was a lot of fun coaching Diego, a lot of fun.
We're going to get into your ground and pound attack because Coach Maupin, who moved on to Artesia, is a dream, I'm sure, for Coach Maupin to go home, right? He's former quarterback at Artesia, two state final appearances for the Tigers. And I'll tell you, his attack is a little bit different than yours, right? But yours, you flipped it. You've definitely, the numbers have flipped, and I was reading them. I'm like, wow, because back in the day, it's a lot of passing yards, right, and some running out of the spread. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to ask you about your father, Rex. You'd mentioned was a coach and administrator for 25 years at Clovis, at Goddard, at several others, New Mexico State, Las Cruces High, Belen, Hobbs, and El Paso Burgess. And your father, well-known coach, well-known. And so, growing up, what did you learn from him? I mean, that's 25 years worth as an administrator also, because not just a coach, right? Administration is totally different. Ask Coach Holland, he'll tell you about that, right?
Right.
So growing up, what is it you learned about, from your father? What did you learn from him?
I think, watching it from afar, of course, I was the one of the three sons that followed in his footsteps. My older brother played for him at Hobbs. Both my brothers did, but my most closest older brother, Brian, played longer with him at Hobbs as a quarterback. So just watching from afar, the dedication that he put into his craft and the time that he put in, I mean, that's what I learned right away, that this job is a 7-day-a-week job, in season, off season. You're always thinking about it. You're always doing something to try to improve. And that, that's one of the main things I learned, and just how to treat kids. I mean, his big thing was the connection he had with kids. That's what he prided himself on, and that's what he enjoyed the most. And that's how I feel. I mean, my biggest aspiration as a coach is to develop a deep connection with our players. So that's kind of what we base our program on. And I learned that directly from him. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, but those would be the top, that I learned from him.
Well, I'd be surprised if, didn't, what about, and now, does he still, does he watch your games and critique?
Who is that?
Your dad, is he still?
Oh, no, my father actually passed in 2007. Okay. Yeah. And which is funny is that he ended his career here at Los Lunas.
That's right. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was a principal, and then went to the AD until 2007. So I actually coached here at Valencia. Its first year opened up as an assistant. We just had freshmen. And right before my father passed, he told me if I really want to learn how to coach, I need to go back to Mayfield and work with Jim Bradley and Michael Bradley and learn how to do it right. So I packed my stuff up without a job, moved to Las Cruces, and lucked out, got a teaching job, and started, the beef of my coaching career there. So it's kind of ironic to be back. They have there's a big rock in the courtyard that memorializes him, and it's cool to see that. So I take a lot of pride in that.
You were the assistant there at Las Cruces Mayfield from 2007 to 2015 under Jim and Mike Bradley. And you mentioned Coach Bradley, and you mentioned your father, right? Your father, a legendary coach as well himself. What was it you took from Jim Bradley? You also played for him too. And what did you take from Coach Bradley as far as coaching and preparing? Those are two great mentors, Coach. You got Hennington. The Hennington name means something. You know that it does. But you, what did you learn from Coach Bradley? And that's a heck of a thing for your dad to say, to go learn under him. So what did you learn under Coach Bradley?
Well, a lot of the same things, but some things that really stick out was his detail to preparation. I mean, he was constantly watching film, constantly working on football, constantly preparing. He had his routine down that was based around him preparing for the opponent. But the biggest thing was developing mental toughness, mental and physical toughness, and, developing your practice plans and your game strategy to produce those two things. So, I mean, as a player, you didn't always see it from, that standpoint until you got a little bit older and saw what he was doing. You might have thought he was a little crazy at times, but it was just to develop your mental toughness, and not just for football, for life, right? So that was the big thing. At first he was tough, man. He was tough to play for. And by the time I got to a senior playing quarterback and running back for him, we developed a really strong relationship that he would bend over backwards for me. And when we went on to coach, it got even stronger. So, a lot of great things with Coach Bradley, a true legend, but that mental toughness is the biggest thing.
So a lot of coaches say that, the old school coaches say that a lot of kids these days don't have it the way they used to. But each coaching decade changes. It's not the same as it used to be, right? With the Coach Gentrys and Coach Henningtons and Coach Jim Ottman, who I have a lot of respect for. It's a different game now, right? It's different. It's still football. Coach Ottman will always remind me of that, no matter if it's 5 quads to the left or whatever formation anybody's using. His thing is, well, they got to block and tackle. They still got to block and tackle.
Right.
That's always stuck in my mind. He makes me laugh when he says it, but he's right? It still comes down to fundamental football. Coach, you're also the El Dorado assistant there for 2 years. Now, let me ask you this: when you got the job at Las Lunas, it was this summer, right? You got hired this spring, right after the spring season, right?
Yeah, actually, mid to late May is when I got hired. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this now. In going into again, it's a short turnaround, right? Short turnaround because we had a spring season which we didn't expect. We had it. Las Lunas had some success as usual, as they always do, and then you have to go hit the ground running for your summer program. Where did you think the Tigers were when you met with them and talked to them? Where did you think they were at the end of the season? And you got to get your everything together, coaches, new philosophy, things like that. Where did you think the Tigers were?
I mean, I think, obviously Coach Maupin did an outstanding job with these guys. So the groundwork was laid. It was just about me trying to find that connection with the kids to kind of, to steer them the direction I want to go. They were extremely receptive from the bat. The first day I walked into a meeting, their eyes are lit up and they're ready to go. So I think they were excited from their end. I know I was definitely excited from my end. But like I said, they were ready to go. My biggest thing was to quickly develop a connection to where they know they can trust me and I'll do anything for them, and then vice versa. And that was received extremely quick. And it was awesome.
Coach Hennington, again, 6-0 for the Tigers, right? You've got Highland coming up this week. When we come back, we'll talk about your offensive philosophy and shift, and we'll take a look at some of the highlights from Friday's 17-14 win against Roswell Goddard. And we come back after these messages on the Sports Desk.
I got to work with him at Highland.
Quarterback up the middle, down the left side, and Ayala might break it to the house, and he does. 31-yard touchdown run for Ayala. And then just like that, 3 plays, Coach, the Mustangs are on the board.
Yeah, they are.
Two teams are responding.
Good serve by Emma Villapondo. Jordan Joe with another kill.
Mitchell down the sideline, still going. He's finally chased down from behind.
Picked up there by John Teague of Los Alamos.
Oh, that's a nice ball.
Kicked ahead, and that's a shot on goal attempt. It's good. First goal of the game is by number 15, Alex Levescu. Levescu, the forward midfielder, strikes first for the Hilltoppers, leading 1-0. Well done, Coach.
Kalajic for the match, and she puts it away in straight sets. Momentum back to pass, gonna float it up for Ayers. Exodus with the catch. Welcome back, Exodus Ayers, touchdown Bears.
And that's
So it's out to the 36-yard line. 1st and 10, Olivas. He's going for it all, looking for the other quarterback, Franco, complete, touchdown, El Dorado! No flags on the play, 36 yards.
Goes ahead of the pack. That's a
Wow,
speed
he's
race
got
by Ella
speed.
coming in all the way out. Be a one-on-one situation. There's an easy goal for number 11 of Los Alamos, John Teague. So that's the 3rd goal.
Hui on the slant up the middle. That's complete. Big run and plenty of yards after the catch. And Caleb Garcia, Mason Kroll is to the house for the touchdown.
Look at the wheels by the big man there. Coach's recruiting state.
Yeah.
Anyway, all
this
good.
ball is kicked off here, and it will be a faked end around coming up the field, drilling
Wow.
through, and I
Oh my
think, Roger,
God.
that's an exciting start
Way
to the
too
game.
easy.
Yeah, Caden Valdez, he will go in for the touchdown, and the Hawks are now up 6-0. There are 11 seconds off of the clock.
The energy landscape is limitless and ever-changing. Cleaner energy resources are crucial to New Mexico's environment. For 100 years, PNM has utilized cutting-edge technology and employed hard-working New Mexicans to ensure that we have consistent, reliable energy when we need it. For life's loudest moments, quietest moments, and every moment in between. We're dedicated to providing you with energy now and into the future. All you have to do is dream of what to do with it next.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26. It's also streamed on Facebook on the New Mexico Sports Network. I'm Ed Nunez, along with Los Lunas head football coach Greg Hennington. And, Coach, I'll tell you, man, I've been loving to hear about your background. I really, you've got a lot of great mentors in your life, and you're mentoring to a lot of kids, man, and that won't be forgotten.
Right. No, it's awesome. Super blessed to be in the situation I am. Like you said, with Coach Bradley, my father, and coaching's in my blood as well from further on. My mom's dad was a longtime basketball coach, All-American basketball player back in the day for New Mexico State. And so it's athletics and, development of young people is always been a part of my life.
Your grandmother, a coach too, you mentioned. So that's in your blood, man. I don't.
Yeah.
You couldn't run away from that if you tried. I have to laugh about it because I coach basketball. My son coached it. He still wants to do it, but he's he's an attorney. He just doesn't have the time. Coach, Victor, you're 17 or 14 over Roswell Goddard. It's a slugfest, right? You slogged it out, man. And so we got some highlights from the game, and again, the Tigers coming out on top, 17-14, and our producer Alden Iowani will get them up for you. Or there, can you see him, Coach?
Oh, yep, I can see him. So, we started off, unfortunately, we gave up the ball, but we got it right back. Defense is playing amazing, absolutely amazing. They've been hitting hard, very physical, and that's the type of game we wanted. We didn't want to go in, we can definitely have the receivers and quarterbacks to throw as much as we want, but we wanted to keep developing that hard-nosed attitude that we know is going to pay off down the line. So that was the game plan, is definitely, keep it hard-nosed and keep it on the ground a little bit of trickery, some shifts and misdirections. Devin Gallegos actually caught that shuffle extremely fast, very good player. We haven't been able to get him loose too much yet, so that was good to see him get loose and be productive. And of course, Goddard always comes through. They made some plays, some big plays. Obviously, they're trying to keep it on the ground just as much as us. So again, that was the goal. Let's get into an old-fashioned dogfight and see who's going to win. We know there's a high chance we're probably going to have to play them again. Somebody that we've already played down the road, either them or Roswell High. We know that's coming. So we're looking forward to that and possibly doing some more things that we didn't quite show in this first game.
There's another, it's like Sirman's up the middle there.
Yeah, that's the quarterback, Paul Sirman's an absolutely amazing quarterback. Extremely good runner. He can also throw the ball very well, but one of the best quarterbacks I've ever had the pleasure of working with by far. So he's extremely good, extremely explosive. He's averaging probably over 100 yards a game rushing. And for what we want right now, that's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, he's a heck of a baseball player too.
Yeah, he's a really good baseball. He's a good athlete all around. So, but his attitude. What's that?
Is that a pick? That was an interception.
That was a pick. Yeah, we had some miscommunication and that on some routes, and that did happen. And they actually went down and scored, and so tied it up. So the pressure was back on. We were able to make some plays on the ground with Paul's feet, running over safeties, running over people, which he does every week, and then set us up for a game-winning field goal by Caden Bell, which was awesome to see. Really good kicker. Probably should have used him a few more times earlier in the season, but it was great to see him come through in that big moment and seal the deal for us.
Not a lot of people have good kickers, right? Kicking games, a lot of teams struggle with that. There's still 3:41 left when Bell made that kick. How did you stave off the Goddard attack? There's still plenty of time there. How did you stave them off at the end?
Well, our defense has been playing absolutely amazing. They're moving around a lot. Coach Gutierrez, as the D coordinator, we were able to bring in about midsummer. He came from Manzano, so he's got some very strong knowledge as far as football and specifically defense. But he has those kids playing hard. They're moving around. They're flying around. They're blitzing. They're stunting. You never know where they're going to come from, and they love it. The kids love it. They eat it up. They love Coach Gutierrez. He's a young guy that connects really well with them, and they'll go to war for that guy. And I feel that they'll do that for all of our coaches. But defense has been coming through all year, and I know this was a huge test for them. And I know Coach Gutierrez felt that way as well, because the way Goddard runs the ball in between tackles, nobody's been able to slow down their run game. So, some days he was a little worried, obviously, as a coach would be, and some days he felt super confident. But he was very excited to see our guys fight tooth and nail and give them a lot of trouble on the run game.
Well, Coach, for a win over Piedra Vista 42-0, Blank Alamogordo 50-0, over West Mesa 42-13, Roswell 35-20. You've already beat them. Cibola 25-19, another big win. So back to 3 big wins in a row. 3 big, huge wins in a row, right? Got hot in this week, Valley, Del Norte, and then Belinda finish out the schedule. But I wanted to go to some stats, and remember, this is a pass-heavy Tiger team, right, in the past.
Right.
Pass-heavy, man. So we flipped here. We flipped, and I was looking at it, and you've got Paul Sermons, 42 carries, 714 yards, 7.0, I believe, carry yards per carry. Carlos Sermons, 43 carries, 262 yards. Malachi Roybal, he also plays defense, 28 carries, 244 yards. As a team, 196 carries for 1,356 yards, 226 yards per game. So receiving-wise, 74 receptions, 696 yards, 9.4 average. So it went from a pass-heavy to a ground and pound. Now, I had to ask you this because Coach Malcolm loved to air it out. Now, he would run from the shotgun. He'd run, right? He would. How did you get everybody to buy into that? Because Paul Sermons, by the way, we saw him break a run last spring against the Cueva. We broke multiple tackles. He's very strong on the legs, very strong. But how did you get him to buy into that? Because, quarterbacks love to throw, right? They love to throw the ball. The receivers love to run routes. How did you get them to buy into it?
Well, we just presented the plan from the very beginning that this is the type of team we're going to be. But, we don't want to get it wrong. We have great receivers. And they're going to be unleashed here pretty soon. Let's just put it that way. And they have come through and made some big plays, but we're trying to develop that attitude of just a run first attitude that, in my experience, helps you win state championships, right? We just presented the plan that this is what we're going to be. We're going to be physically tough. And I think it all goes back to the connection that we, the players and the coaches, develop between each other, and the trust level. And, sometimes the receivers get frustrated. I get it. Of course, they want to play. They want to ball out. But I guarantee their time is coming, and we're just going to keep plugging away, continue to get that run game going. So, like you said, that's been the biggest transition to a power run scheme versus maybe an open zone run scheme. That's always a tough transition, and the kids are turning the corner, and they have bought in. And I just love it. The way the kids have responded, and the trust that they've shown me, Coach Gutierrez, and the rest of our coaching staff, Coach Theronk, the O-line coach, has been phenomenal. And it makes me want to be better every single day for them. But we're looking forward to letting those receivers get loose a little bit here pretty quick.
Coach, you mentioned this though, and it's a point to bring up, right? There might be some frustration, but if I say, look, if I put it on the chalkboard and say 6-0 and I circle it, what, right? I mean, what's the ultimate goal? I mean, we're winning. In other words, your plan is working for the team. Now, as when I go home, if I'm a wide receiver, I'm going to be like, hey, man, I'm not getting enough touches. I need more, right? Any player's going to say that. Anybody that's a competitor that's used to going to airing it out wants to catch those footballs. I get it. But like I said, if I go to the chalkboard and say 6-0 and I circle it, 3 big wins, you know, there's going to be, what can anyone say is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. And it's not a negative thing. It's more of, you know, they just want to help the team. And it's not, don't get me wrong, it's not bad at all. They do put winning first. I guarantee you that. They put winning first. Perfect example. We got 3 sophomore receivers, or 2 sophomores and a junior. I mean, not a junior, freshman, that are absolutely amazing football players. And, you know, they were just so ecstatic after the game that we just beat Goddard and fired up that the formula is working, you know, and that's the stuff that proves to me that we are all in as a team about winning games. And, you know, the air stuff will come when the time is right and it was sprinkled in. Or so again, their attitude about it has been awesome. You know, like I said, they just want to, competitors want to compete, right? That's all it is. And it's never a negative thing. It's never a negative thing. These kids have been awesome.
I got to ask you this, and we'll move on to your defense, but it's a different philosophy for your offensive line. They're pass blocking a lot last year, right? Now they're drive blocking. How'd you get that? Your offensive line coach, how'd you get the offensive line to buy into a new philosophy?
Well, actually, you know, Coach Garley previously, one thing me and Coach Laurent, the new O-line coach, noticed is that he had those guys firing off the ball pretty darn good, right, on their run schemes. It's so the big difference was the amount of run schemes we put in and the different fits. That's been the biggest thing. So they've had it in them, and I think the previous O-line coach has done a great job, and then followed by our current O-line coach is, you know, able to take it a little bit further because, you know, he's just spending more time with them, obviously. But they had it in them. It's just a matter of learning why we block certain things, when we block certain things, and the multitude of run schemes that we're putting in. So we're about to turn the corner. Like I said, it's clicking with the guys. We're starting to see some great movement on film, and we're just continuing to build off what's already been there.
Coach, we've got about 30 seconds. Tell us about your defense, and we'll wrap it up.
Defense has been outstanding, and I know Coach Gutierrez, if he's watching, he's like, "Why are we talking about defense?" No, he's been amazing. He's a fireball. You know, he gets the kids fired up. They are playing fast. They are playing energetic. They are coming through with huge stops and huge plays, you know, either throughout the game or at most crucial times. So we are super pumped about the defense, and to run the ball, you got to play great defense. And they've been doing an amazing job. Couldn't be more proud of them.
Coach Greg Hennington, Tigers are 6-0. They got hot in this week, then Valley del Norte, and then Berlin, that Valencia rivalry to end the season. Thanks so much for being our guest. We wish you all the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Go Tigers.
For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.